my favourite books is At the End of the Lost World, when Professor Challenger goes into the Royal Albert Hall and he brings in his faithful minions, bring these big boxes, this big crate with them. And in the middle of Paul's talk, at the end of Paul's talk, we saw Lisa and somebody else bringing a huge crate. And I'm sure you all thought it had the military lifespan in it. Well, it did. Ladies and gentlemen,
Julian Vayne is the curator of the Manchester Meat Museum, which is a museum of meat in Manchester, and he's brought 2 life-size meat sculptures with him. They are Morrissey and the Smiths, and the other is Martin Van Buren, the 8th President of the USA. Take it away, Julian.
Now, will you be able to hear me if I don't use the microphone? Do you think so? I'll try my very, very best. Can we increase the level of light? Is that possible? Right, so I've got some bits of dead animal in the box. I actually work for Barnstable Museum. Has anyone been to Barnstable Museum? Quick show of hands. If you haven't been to Barnstable Museum, it's the one with the giant prehistoric pre-glacial elephant. It's the one with the skeleton in the box, the big undersea world. And I brought some stuff from the museum to show you folks today. I'm going to need some assistance from the audience in terms of, see, I'm not a zoologist at all, and I'm not a cryptozoologist by any means, and some of these beasts that we have here, I know a few things about, thanks to the miracle of Wikipedia, but I suspect that you probably know much more than I do. So, I guess we should do, what do we want to do? Do we want to start with the little ones in the trunk, or the big one on the table? Big one on the table, fantastic. Right, so big one on the table. Okay, big one on the table. Cyclops. Sort of. Okay, so this, my friends. Can you guess what it is yet? Thank you very much. You can see that big hole there, which is part of the reason that these were designated sometimes when they were discovered as Cyclops Skeletons with their huge single eye. Now, in Barnstable Museum, God, this thing's heavy. In Barnstable Museum we have, as I mentioned, the remains of a prehistoric elephant. This isn't a prehistoric elephant. Any elephant enthusiast, is that the right term? Elephant enthusiast? Any elephants in the audience come to, so, you know, the basic question, which of the, as I understand it, 3 variants of elephant have we got here? So we've either got the conventional sort of African one, and I believe there's a new, relatively newly identified subspecies or species of elephant, which is a forest-dwelling one, also I think in Africa, and then there's the Indian one. Anyone know their elephants?
I think it's Elephas maximus, the Asian elephant.
Oh, so we think this is an Indian elephant. Would you like to come and examine the teeth? Because actually, I'm going to put all this stuff in the other room in a bit, and so you can have a close look. What do you reckon?
I know you tell the difference with a tick, but I can't remember the difference now.
Oh, it's tricky, isn't it?
I was looking at the roundedness of the skull, because the Asian elephant has these 2 great rounded bits at the top of the skull, where the African elephant has a much flatter skull.
Oh, nice. Thanks very much. That's very good. Now, this is... Sit back down, that's brilliant. I might need you later though. So, elephants, yes. The way you tell, apparently, the difference, that I was told recently by a chap who is the specialist in elephants at the Natural History Museum, or prehistoric elephants particularly, is the teeth. So there's its teeth. Can you see that all right? They're bloody huge. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. They're very big. Because they're quite long and narrow, it's an Indian one. African ones have got far rounder teeth. So now you know, and you may never forget. That's a piece of information that's going to be in your brain forever. Isn't it?
Like my game.
Don't you think? In there. Okay, so teeth is a bit different. So, now, again, through the miracle of Wikipedia, I read about how heavy an elephant is. And apparently, and again, I'd like confirmation or otherwise of this from any friends in the audience, apparently, one of the largest elephants in modern times was one that was shot and killed in Angola in the, I think, the sort of mid-20th century, 1950s or so. And it weighed 12 metric tons. Yeah. Does that sound about right? Could you all stand up a minute? Right, now all of us in this room do not weigh as much as that elephant. Wow. We'll sit back down. We don't. All of us combined are not as big as that. It was, so I'm told from the miracle of Wikipedia, it was 4.2 metres tall. What does that mean? People are rubbish at estimating sizes and space and all this kind of thing, which is why it's terribly hard to figure out exactly how big the Beast of Exmoor probably, is. So, 4.2 metres. Well, this is what we've got here. 3 metres. This is 3 metres. Probably kill myself on a wire. Really tall. It's sort of gradually easier. Okay. Would you mind taking hold of this? Very much. Splendid. Would you mind going 4.5 metres up? Right, no, okay, well let's just do it like that. Right, so it's lying down, and let's measure it from my extended arm. So from me to there, now in your mind you've got to put that through 90 degrees, and it's heavier than all of us in this room. Blimey. Or words to that effect. Fantastic. What do elephants eat? Leaves, plants. See, the answer I quite like is trees. That's effectively what they eat. They do amazing things with it. Have you heard about obviously the tusks can be used for sort of taking bark off of trees. It's got this astonishing trunk, which of course we've got no evidence for directly here. You can't see its trunk. It's gone. Trunk. It's an astonishing thing. It's really strong, and it can still pick up just a single blade of grass. I know. So you've got this thing, which is nearly 4.5 metres tall, weighs more than all of us together, and is capable, with its giant nose lip thingy, of picking up one individual blade of grass. So,
I'm from the door here, it looks like someone's tent is about to blow away.
Oh, goodness. If you have a tent which is about to blow away, please go there now. Thank you very much for pointing that out. Right, Max. Max isn't very heavy, you might need to let. Is he right? Good. Okay, so, next thing I brought along. Oh, I have to say, in the museum we don't actually kill any of the animals. That, I guess, is obvious. The animals get brought to us, where particularly, obviously, species from this country, if they've been, hit by cars, or they've, bashed themselves into something, or they've died of natural causes. I cannot, to be honest with you, tell you the story about this elephant. I can tell, so I'm told, from the suture marks. You know what I mean by the suture marks? The little groovy bits in its head. This was quite a young elephant when it died. But there are various specimens that are in the museum, in Barnsley Museum, which we know very, very little about. These days, we collect mostly stuff which is to do with the history and culture of North Devon. But in the past, we collected anything that was cool, which arguably is a very sensible policy. And so someone, somewhere down the line, very much, decided that this was really cool. That. Okay. What is it then? Oh, fantastic. And more than that, what does it do? What's this thing for? So this animal, several metres in length, develops this. Why does it do that? Any suggestions?
It's appealing to fishes, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. So this is a fish spiker. This is exactly what it does. As I understand it, it lives down in the bottom, and it sort of lurks around. It's quite a flat-bodied fish, And this is a sensory organ as well. You can tell where the fish are around, and it will leap up in the water and whack them with this. What an astonishing bit of evolution that is, eh? What a piece of kit to have out your nose. You know, none of us have anything even even close to something as phenomenal as that. All we can rejoice with is the fact that our little finger fits perfectly up our noses. That's all we have. So we have, do you know we've got about 4 of these in the museum, so whoever decided that they wanted to collect these, whoever decided that these were cool, thought, I'll have 4, yeah, maybe they got a job lot, I don't know, I was really uncertain.
Is this swordfish still around the British Isles? Has it become extinct? You know?
I think it's pretty rare, as I understand it. It's very, all the information I can find on it suggests that it's quite a severely endangered species. I suspect because it's got an eminently collectible nose.
I found an old map with swordfish.
With a round here?
Off the North Sea.
Okay.
An old map.
I see no reason why not. I see no reason at all why not. I mean, we always imagine these things, don't we, sort of big animals, weird animals, strange animals, being these sort of tropical things. They live a long way away. They're nowhere really near us. Except that, obviously. But there are things, there are bizarre things, even from right here. Now, where are we? This is something you have to come and feel later in a bit. Right. What do you reckon that is? I know it's not an egg. What do you think? A stone. It's not a stone. Good guess, but it's not a stone.
Is it a coprolite?
Is it a coprolite? Oh, you're sort of in the right direction in some respects. It's weirder than that. This is... Pardon? Oh, yes, we have a winner. Fantastic. Fantastic. And a traditional word as well. This, my friends, is the hairball from inside a cow in North Devon. So now when you see them, you know, out here, the cows, there they are doing their cow kind of stuff, inside some of them, I don't know how many. Do we know how many? Any idea how many? Is it frequent? Do they all have them? Does someone have several? I don't know. I've really no idea. But this is from here. And again, this is something that was taken into the museum. You see, this fits more within our collections policy because this is about the history and culture of North Devon. The cow's hairball. You come and feel it later on, you come and touch it, you'll feel how it feels exactly like the keratin. It's exactly the same material as the stuff your hair is made from and your nails are made from. I always want to throw it, but I'm sure I don't. Okay. Now, are you frightened of snakes? Are you frightened of... You're not frightened of snakes. Snakes are quite good. It's not a live snake. Would you mind helping me with something? No? No? If you don't tell me, that's fine. Would you mind helping me with something? Could you come and stand here, please? Right. All I need you to do is to hold that. Right. In fact, what we'll do, let's put it on the ground. Let's do it on the ground first. Hold that in. That's brilliant. Now I'm told that there are people who know about snakes here as well. And let's be very carefully lift it up. Yeah? There we go. Blimey. Any suggestions as to which species this is?
It looks like a Burmese from the pattern.
A Burmese Python. I suspect that you are right. You see, the problem with the museum, like lots of museums, and this is a good reason for going to museums, is that lots of things were taken into their collections before anyone really kept good records. To be honest, most people don't keep good records now. Oh, did I say that aloud? Anyway, there are plenty of things in the collection. We have this listed simply as the skin of a snake. Which, from my point of view as the education officer of the museum, is not terribly helpful. Especially not as somebody who is not a zoologist. Burmese Python. Would it have your hand off?
Well, I've been... The most painful bite I've ever had as a zookeeper was from a Burmese Python. Straight on the stomach.
And is this a big one?
Not particularly. There was one that recently died in Serpent Safari, Gurney Mills, Illinois, that was 28 feet long. 28 feet long? Yes.
Goodness. Okay. This is only a little one. Did you hear that? 28 feet long. That's huge. We'll hold this back up. This is a beautiful, beautiful object. It's really, really lovely. A lovely specimen. A lovely animal. Again, I'm afraid I cannot tell you how it came into the museum collection. I like to think it died of natural causes. I hope. What else have we got in here? What else have we got in here? Oh, this is fantastic. I bet you're all going to know what this is. This is easy. Right. It's got writing on one side, which is terrible. Possibly proof of God, I don't know. But it's It's an ostrich egg. Ostriches. I did the inevitable Wikipedia search on ostriches. I thought I'd find some fantastic facts about ostriches, and I found one, which is apparently, so I'm told by the miracle of Wikipedia, that they have the largest diameter eye of any vertebrates. They've got a 5 centimetre diameter eye, huge thing, and also that their stride can be up to 5 metres long. Fantastic things. Now, again, how this came into our care, we really don't know. We don't know whether this came from the zoo. We don't know whether or not this was taken in the field. We have no idea. If you are from around here, you really should, and you're interested in cryptozoology, you should definitely go, if not to Barnstable Museum, you need to go to Ilfracombe Museum. Has anyone been to Ilfracombe Museum? Ilfracombe Museum? The second most complete collection of pickled bats in the United Kingdom. Really? No, really. I'm guessing, I like to think that the first most complete collection is in the Natural History Museum. But it's kind of good that there's a backup collection at Ilfracombe, which is nice. There's also, of course, the two-headed kitten. See that one? It's very good. And the three-legged chicken, which, before it died, lived in the museum. It lived in the museum. I've got no idea how these people arranged it. I mean, we wouldn't do this now, obviously. But the three-headed chicken was around in the museum, and eventually they died, and prepared it. There's a skeleton. You go sit in on one of those nice glass jar things. Yes. Now this is absolutely delightful. When you come and have a look at this later, try and be nice and careful with this one. It's very delicate. There we go. Can we see what that is? What is that? A dinosaur. You're pretty close, really. This is indeed a crocodile. Little tiny baby crocodile. Who knows about crocodiles? Tell me a fabulous fact about a crocodile, please. Oh! I bet there's a million ones going through your brain. Sorry, say that again. Gharial crocodiles. Oh, I could have planted you in the audience. Fantastic. Gharial crocodile. Would you mind coming and helping me? Right, so what we need to do, if I can ask you just to take, can you hold back a bit? Yeah. That's fantastic. Okay, so there's our first bit. Where are these from? From Africa? I think they might be from India. Are they from India? Yeah. Africa? India? Where? Somewhere foreign?
Both.
Both?
Probably.
Okay, this is fantastic. Let's put it on the table. Brilliant. Oh, you can work in the museum. Very good. That's very good. Right, okay. So we need to get the bottom bit out. You take that. Okay. Okay, so look at that. Ah, what is it? Do you want to say that a bit louder? There's a tooth still in there. Fantastic. I tell you what, let's put it there. Go back. So there's the jaws of the Gharial crocodile. Don't put your head in there! No! You'll be alright, you'll be fine. tremendously fast, 30 miles an hour over short distances. They can submerge themselves for ages in water. They don't have any disease. They don't get any disease, pretty much. They're tough as you like. They'll have your hand off. I went to a crocodile farm in India, in fact, where there were gharials and several other species. And I remember the delightful moment when they were feeding these beasts. And this chap came in with just quite a big chicken. And he just threw the chicken up, and this gigantic saltwater crocodile with jaws that were 2 foot across just went like that. It was fantastic. I was so pleased that I was high up and a long way away, behind bars. It was very distant, and it seemed to have been fed, so that was all good. Quite pleased with that. Crocodiles. Crocodile babies. Crocodile babies, so cute. I see crocodile baby. It looks, I mean, it's as with most of the specimens that we have, it's stuffed. We tend to stuff lots of things in the museum, except bats, which we like to freeze dry. But it's very, very delicate little specimen. Oh, beautiful thing. Biggest crocodile. I mean, I could look this up on the notes, but there's probably people who can tell me. Biggest crocodile.
Indo-Pacific, possibly up to 30 feet and over 2 tons.
And
There was one time in Southeast Asia, I think they call him the Sultan or Raja, it's supposed to be 36 feet, I think.
36 feet long. Can you do that in metric? What's that then? 11 metres? 12 metres, is it? Right. So this is about 12 metres long. Right, so this is 3. Okay, so we're going to need to, we go down to that end. This is a crocodile. This is one of the, like, I mean, you know, same basic structure as that. Okay, so there's 3. Okay, we'll come forward to that bit. Okay. There's 6. Okay. There's 9. Ah. Okay, come forward to that bit then. We'll have to assume that it's rearing up, won't we? Right, okay. So we'll do this carefully. Right. Blimey. That's how long it is. That's obviously with its head up as a chicken comes this way. You can imagine the chicken coming down. It's fantastic. Thank you very much. Right. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. Now, the Beast of Exmoor. Quick show of hands who've seen the Beast of Exmoor? Okay, quick show of hands who knows someone who's seen the Beast of Exmoor? I use the Beast of Exmoor as a kind of generic term for the ABC, I believe is the terminology. Is that correct? Anomalous big cat? Okay. So, now, you see in the museum catalogue, unfortunately for me, this says felid skull. Which is a bit general. So anyone know that? Anyone know? Any idea what this? I mean, I'm assuming this is a big cat, but I'm prepared to be wrong. What do you reckon? Do you want to come down and look? Come on. Benefit your wisdom. Come on.
Come and have a look.
It's a collaborative venture. I bring along the dead animals. The zoologists tell me what they are. What do you reckon?
Tiger skull.
Tiger. Yeah. Definite. You said that in a sort of that was a Zen master. Tiger skull. I'm telling you. Thank you very much. That's brilliant. Okay. Which type? Siberian? Probably Bengal. Probably Bengal tiger. Fantastic. It's a phenomenal beast, isn't it? The interesting thing about things like mammals generally, you can see this with the elephant, you can see this with pretty much any of these skulls you go for, is what we tend to do, us mammals, on the whole, is we tend to have just a couple, 2 or 3 maybe sets of teeth, and we tend to go for these really big sort of robust tigery type affairs, quite impressive. Unlike another species, quite different, which rather than go for some really big fangs, tends to go for lots of little ones. There's lots of little ones. Piscatologist, is anybody? Anyone who's a specialist in sharks? Because again, you see on the museum catalogue it says shark jaws. Which is alright. I mean, I can find out that, sharks, they do this, that and the other. They have loads of teeth. That's why you find loads of them in the fossil record. They've been around for many millions of years and that sort of thing. What do you reckon?
I think it suits you. 10 minutes.
Very much. So, sharks do exactly that. When you come and have a closer look at this, what you have to look at is the fact that in the ring inside here, there are literally hundreds of teeth, and as they break off, other ones kind of come forward into the jaws. So the shark uses the multiple teeth method as opposed to going for these big fangs that we can see on our, thank you very much, probably Bengal tiger. That's so helpful. Someone taking notes about this would be very useful. It's funny, isn't it? But you think about things like the ABC phenomena, the sort of big cats, and we're talking about something presumably, I'm guessing, there was that recent footage, wasn't there, of someone taken by a railway line, which was very, very helpful. Has anyone seen that stuff? A very interesting story. Because, of course, it gives you a nice scale. So we're talking about something that's a lot smaller than this, I'm guessing. But nevertheless, we're talking about a creature, in the same family as this beast. And people sometimes say, well, how is it possible that something like this could remain undiscovered, Well, the answer, I think, is that these things are designed to remain undiscovered. That's what they're for. Particularly from the really terrifying predator, which is us. Because we're really very frightening. That's why you see those fantastic shots, don't you, of people going to places like Antarctica, and all the birds just going, oh, hello human, how are you? You're an interesting looking thing, because they don't know how violent we are. They don't realise how we've managed to destroy vast amounts of the megafauna on our planet. Because we're very, very good hunters, exceptionally good hunters. The other interesting thing I always think, and this is obviously this year, as I'm sure lots of you know, is the anniversary of the birth of Charles Darwin and also the publication of On the Origin of Species. And the interesting thing for us, I think, is that us as people from the 21st century, what we can do is we can look at this, and then if you feel your own skull, just stick your hand up and feel your own skull, you start to think, hang on, not completely dissimilar. How's my teeth looking? Well, they're not as impressive as this, but there's a pointy one. Yeah, got that. And there's the big ones at the back, a bit like this guy. And the interesting thing from our perspective is the fact that until people like Darwin and Wallace and so on came along and did their work, human beings would look at something like this and see it as quite different to the other skulls we have on the table. Okay, this is one of our ancestors from North Devon. This is the skull, quite a young child, that was found in an Anglo-Saxon cemetery, which is in Barnstaple. Go to Barnstaple, go to the library. This is a terribly ugly building. And then next to the library, there's a big mound. It's called Castle Mound. And Castle Mound is a Norman castle, and it's on top of an Anglo-Saxon burial. And this is from that burial. So this is just a top little cranium section of someone who was knocking around in this part of the world about 1,000 years ago, pretty much. We see these things, all these skulls, as part of a continuum, as part of an ongoing process of evolution and change, speciation and so on. Well, one of the things we have to remember, particularly I think when we look at historical accounts of strange animals and creatures generally, is that there was a big discontinuity, a big difference that was made between humans and everything else. And that's quite different from our perspective. It's quite a big change, because none of us notice it really, because we're all in that age, in that space, in that time. What else have we got? Oh, we're nearly done. Oh, one more thing. This is lovely. This is I think, always, almost the classic cryptozoological find, because of course this is a petrified snake. Or it's the horn of the god Ammon, who was a ram. Or also, of course, from a 21st century point of view, evolutionary theory and all that, what do you reckon that is? It's an ammonite. It's an ammonite. Yeah, you're right. It is indeed an ammonite. Ammonites are very easy to describe, particularly when I go out and I talk to schools in children in North Devon, because I've got an absolutely perfect way of explaining how big they are. I don't get tape measures or do walking around to get people to stand up. I say, you know, a big tractor, like a really big proper tractor, usually green, aren't they, or sometimes red. You imagine the wheel of that big tractor. That's how big these things could grow. And of course you have to imagine the big, Cthulhuoid face on it. I'm guessing they went backwards. I'm assuming they went backwards, a bit like a sort of, almost. So the big Cthulhu face. Funny thing about these, and there may well be somebody in the audience who's got the answer to this one, is of course they knock around for, I think hundreds of millions of years in the sea, and then come whatever it is that does for the dinosaurs, they all disappear as well. It's quite interesting. I wonder whether or not they had some sort of intimate relationship with another species, or whether or not the alleged meteor or comet that fell carried a disease that affected all of these creatures, and also this poor, unfortunate shellfish. Very, very curious. Very curious. Because you go down to South Devon, which is nearly as good as North Devon, only obviously not as good. Apologies for anybody who comes from there. You can find these things. You can find these things. And I think that that's one of the nice things about kind of cryptozoology as an idea, is that the mysterious animals are around. They are around. They are out there. They are designed to avoid us. They appear in these strange ways that we perhaps misinterpret. We find them, the shadows of them, millions of years old in the rocks that are around us right now. And we find, even when we go to somewhere as dry and dusty as a museum, we find peculiar animal things there that we wouldn't even necessarily register as to do with a beast, to do with an animal. And I kind of like that. I think that's kind of cool. I think I've done. Is that all right? Now what I'm going to do is, because it's all very well for me to go, oh look, here's a thing, here's another thing, here's a thing. We're going to take all these specimens and we're going to take them out to the tables in the sort of exhibition area, and I'm going to be around for a little while. Feel free to come and fondle a dead beast, won't you? You look like sort of people who like to do that. I know I like to do that, so that's fine.
And they say that the people who come to the Weird Weekend are just a bunch of weirdos. Never! I'll tell you what, I got this email. Okay, Richard, if I can have Richard Farrow and Mark, if you want to start being crude and with the stuff out down. But I got an email, I think just after Christmas, from some bloke called Julian Vayne saying, saying that would I like him to bring his elephant skulls and other weird stuff on the Weird Weekend. I didn't actually realise. We've been in email contact, I don't know, for the last 7-8 months. And it was only actually at 2 minutes to 1 day when he turned up. I realised that we've actually seen each other lots of times with uncommon things, hasn't it? And he's amazing Steve Jones. He's somebody I've known vaguely for a long time, I didn't know who he was. So, thank you very much to North Devon Museum Service. Thank you very, very much to Julian Vayne.
Thanks, guys.
How you doing? I'm doing okay, how are you doing? Yeah, fine.
Tiny museum, tiny bit of museum. So we've basically asked for all our live patch covers in the Devon area, and I've sort
the big mama museum is called Cyclops embryonic, and I guess because it's been not handled properly, somebody quite old potentially broke it. Yes, I'm sure. It's probably embryonic. So what tends to happen is before it was born, it was yes, probably. Always gets the priority. And so there are tons of things in museum collections now where I can't answer that question. It's very hard to do any further investigation. Yep, it certainly is. Just check. It's like the
porphyry is pebble around the ground. Specifies that it's basically not limits to that, don't they? The natural
Oh, no, that's actually, one of those things that turns up in the 16th century.
Oh, what are these then? These are a massive, huge jaws, really powerful.
Or is that what they think? Unless they sometimes move the jaw back, because they seem to feel happy.
Slowly learning my crocodilian sections. There's a flavour of that. I think that's one of the sort of technical differences. I tend to use the term crocodilian because apparently it allows me to kind of get out claws. I talk about crocodiles and alligators together, and it's all part of one. Right, absolutely. I guess the same way the word Sahara means desert.
We're there.